All right, everybody. Welcome to the first official episode of It's All a Work. And honestly, I feel like we just really got worked for the last week and a half, basically, with this whole we want Cody and The Rock and all that stuff. What do you guys think?
It's been a definite run through, with the sheer amount of content thrown at us.
Right.
I'm not loving. I don't know if I'm loving The Rock coming back. I think it's one of those times where the man retired. You know, go do your own thing. The amount of shape it's going to have him. I'm afraid if we get a big main event using him, I'm afraid we're going to end up with kind of like the Undertaker style, where the man retired like 5 times just to come back for WrestleMania, and we'd get absolute shit matches, and that's what I don't want to see.
True.
I honestly think after The Rock is done at WrestleMania or the next time he fights, it'll be one of the last times he fights. Because I just feel like with Roman Reigns and that whole family dynamic, seeing him break all those records, he wants to be a part of it because it's Rocky. Rocky got to be a part of anything wrestling and family. It's like a Vin Diesel movie, family first.
I mean, yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, the where he's situated in life at this point, it's I don't see a point for The Rock to return. Like there's not a reason. There's no record that's going to be broken. There's no, other than the hype they were trying to make it, the Bloodline biggest main event ever at WrestleMania. It just there's no point in it, you know. I don't see why we need him back at this stage. If you're going to make a comeback for it, fine, but let's do it at a stage where it's going to make sense.
Well, and it may not make sense to us, but The Rock is an attraction, regardless of how you look at it. And as a company, you want the biggest attractions. Who's the biggest, as they said, the biggest superstar right now? The Rock. So they're gonna, if they could milk that, they're gonna milk it.
Yeah, it's true. When every time The Rock comes back, it's always a big deal. It's always the biggest thing of whatever show that he's on. So I see it from that perspective. At the same time, they wanted to do it last year. They wanted to do The Rock versus Roman, but from what I understand, he had some The Rock had some kind of contractual obligation in Hollywood. I think he was actually shooting Fast and the Furious, the last Fast and the Furious, Fast X, I think it was. So from what I understand, that's why he couldn't do it. So I like the idea of The Rock. Or I should say, as we'll get to, the idea of The Rock. Because I thought that they could prolong the story out. And to be honest, I thought that they were really going to go in that direction. And I personally, I like to think that everything is a work. I like to think that they planned this out. And I really did believe that it was going to be The Rock. But now they're going to make everybody believe that it was the fans that changed the mind of everybody. I don't think that's the case. I think this was a work from the very beginning.
No, I could very much see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of a work, I did want to ask real quick before we actually fully jump into it. So tonight we had actually really what I thought was like an all-star panel. We had Pat McAfee, right? We had Big E, which was fantastic to see him back. I think I'm wrong when I say this, but it's the first time I've seen him. That's what I'll say. It's the first time I've seen him be back. And then we had CM Punk, and then we had, of course, Michael Cole, the mainstay of WWE for the past 25 years. He's got to be part of everything.
Man, Michael Cole's solid though. That man everywhere, any and everything you ask him, Cole there, man.
I think at some point, was it CM Punk that called his fans coal miners? I must have missed that part of WWE because I do not remember his fans ever being called coal miners.
If we didn't, I didn't hear that either. That must have been the dark times of WWE where it was just like
yeah, I missed
championship.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, coal miners, all right, cool, that's good. But I wanted to ask, CM Punk, is his arm a work or is it not a work? Did he really have surgery on it, or is this a fake out and was a condition of him returning that he had to be out of WrestleMania? Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I just want to put it up to y'all and see what y'all are thinking. Y'all watch the Royal Rumble. Can you pinpoint any one part where he would have hurt his arm like that to where he needed surgery?
I mean, it doesn't take much if you hit it just right and that sort of thing. You're going to run into the situation where you could need it. If I remember right, Punk did bounce off the ropes at one point, and the way those ropes hit, if he hit it just right on that arm, it could pop it. I could see it. I honestly, at least in my opinion, in the beginning, I thought it was, a real deal. However, in the bits that we've seen, because he supposedly had the surgery on Monday, I believe.
Yeah. Well, he said it was a week today. Monday,
okay, a week today. Then that might make a little more sense. I would say if he had the surgery on Monday, he should have been high out of his mind while he was trying to run. It's kind of like Pat McAfee.
I mean, the way CM Punk was talking, you sure he won't have? Because he was ready to fight everybody. Like, somebody do that in my face, I'm throwing hands. Like, that motherfucker, he might have been high. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, Pat McAfee was definitely on something today, man. He was. I say we'll get to it. I guess we can get to a little bit more at the end. But man, at the end when the way he was talking, I was like, this dude he started his high at the beginning and he was full blown done by the end of that thing, man. That was crazy.
I mean, maybe he was just hyped,
Yeah, true.
Happy to be there. Shit.
Yeah. So they talked a little bit. The opening, they just talked a little bit about things that had happened during the week. Obviously, the big thing on everybody's mind is who is Cody going to choose? Who is Cody going to choose? But they had to get some other things out of the way. One thing that they talked about was The Rock being on Pat McAfee's show. Obviously, coining the phrase "Cody Crybabies." Which, I mean, G, you were the one that originally saw that, man. That's crazy.
It's so crazy because the how he just went into it, it was perfect heel Rock, Hollywood Rock. Just the Cody Crybabies, the eating 2 chicken nuggets and then shoving it up there, it was crazy, man. It was I loved it, every little bit of it.
Yeah, it really reminded me of like Attitude Era Rock. Like that, watching him cut that promo was like Attitude Era Rock, which again, we'll get to it later on. We haven't even fully jumped into this yet, but when The Rock came out at the end, like he was still on that same energy. Like it was Rock from 1998, 1999, 2000 Rock, and it was fantastic, man. It's good to see you can still go. So, So obviously they have to do the teaser. Byron Saxton's walking around, finds Paul Heyman, asks, how's the tribal chief feeling? And Paul Heyman does his thing, cuts his legendary, style kind of promos. And
before we get any forward with that, give Paul Heyman a raise.
That
man is he is a threshold of WWE. He is pulling it right now. Like his promos are just crazy.
It's true.
I agree.
I say the thing with did you guys notice when they did that segment when Roman was gone for I think Roman was gone for like a 2-month span in 2023. He's gone for like after SummerSlam. I think he was gone until Survivor Series. I think that's the span that I've got in my head. And in that time frame, Paul Heyman allowed his hair to turn white. He stopped dyeing his hair just for the bit.
He did. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yep. And everybody lost their shit when he came when the night Roman came back. Paul Heyman's hair was black again. I say, man is dedicated. It was
his tribal chief. His tribal chief came to save his life,
Right. That's it, man. He's committed. And Paul Heyman he said in interviews, he's like, I've got this whole entire story planned out of how I want the bloodline thing to go and this, that, and the other. And So I think that, we talk about The Rock riding into the sunset. I don't see Paul Heyman doing this after. I think when Roman leaves, probably when Roman loses the title and has his, rematch or whatever, I would say this is probably the last year for Paul Heyman. I would assume if Roman loses the belt. He's been doing it for a very long time. And again, that's crazy, like far out predictions to make, but I don't know. I don't see Paul Heyman having another next big thing. You know what I mean?
But I want you to think about it. Look who came back. CM Punk is back. If Roman takes sabbatical or actually leaves, who do you like? I don't feel like Paul's not leaving. Like that man is. He came back for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
When you're right, you're right. And CM Punk is 100% a Paul Heyman guy. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, Dresh?
Mm-hmm.
You think he's riding off in the sunset, or you think he's got one more run left in him?
I honestly think he's probably got one more. I mean, Paul Heyman's been around for a long time, but I mean, I took a break from WWE for 10, 12 years, and the man's still fucking here. So, good on him. But I think if he has anything, he's only got one or two more rides left in him. And if he gets somebody that puts a run in like Roman has, maybe obviously they're not going to do another run like Roman's anytime soon. But I think he's probably due for a break, man. He's put a lot into it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around since the 80s, dude. Paul E. Dangerously and the Dangerous Alliance. He was holding that giant cell phone up. I remember seeing those pay-per-views, so it's crazy. But all right. So moving on. The first segment we get is fitting. Triple H comes out, talks about the history of WrestleMania, talks about the Netflix deal. He promises that WrestleMania is going to be the biggest it's ever been, which you kind of have to promise that. I mean, like, you can't come out and be like, well, this WrestleMania is going to be big, but last year's WrestleMania was the biggest. So you can't say that. So, I mean, I feel like the roster's stacked, so I feel like it will be the biggest that they've ever had. But then he does his classic, "Are you ready?" We're going to have to do a whole podcast on the Netflix deal, because apparently the deal is out and you can read it somewhere. And $500 million over 5 years going to Netflix.
That is.
I mean, it's a good choice by the company. I mean, Netflix is a solid way to go. They really don't seem like they're going anywhere anytime soon. And with a deal like that, WWE's got that same thing in their head. So
Now,
while I'm not a huge fan of it, because now I have to go by, obviously it's not for another year, but I've got to do another streaming service. So are they going to move all of No, they're only moving Raw. So now you've got, you've got to have Netflix. You've got to have, access to cable. You've got to have
Peacock.
Pardon my language, Peacock, for if you want to watch the pay-per-views without paying $900 a pay-per-view. As a consumer, I'm not a fan of it just because of that. Like, put it all in one place. Let me be able to find everything easily so I can keep up with the whole universe, because I don't have time to be on WWE every night. I can't go watch NXT. I can't go watch, this, and this. I got life. So let me be able to find everything from it later.
Right. Yep.
Now, my question is, do they stick with Peacock as far as a streaming service for their PLEs, or in the near future do they move it all to Netflix?
I don't think they move it all to Netflix, because I don't think Netflix, at least right now, they don't have the functionality that WWE is looking for. You can't have with Peacock, they've got the entire channel, so you can go through and go, hey, I want the WrestleMania channel. And now not only do you have every WrestleMania ever, you've got Road to WrestleMania promos, you've got stuff on the behind the scenes and all of that. So as far as their repository and, the library, essentially, I just don't see it as a place that they'd be able to move it and the fans still be able to use it effectively.
Yeah, I see, CRGT Gaming, shout out to them. They said, they want to see it all in one place. And I think that honestly is, uh,
But the
yeah,
WWE tried that with the old WWE app, and people didn't. I mean, as many wrestling fans as there are in existence, it wasn't lucrative enough that the WWE was able to keep it up on their own. That's why they farmed it out to Peacock.
right.
They folded it into that because they just couldn't. It wasn't working on its own. It needed that extra support for them to be able to keep the platform alive.
Yeah, they spent, the only good way to say it is they spent a small fortune to get the WWE network up and running. And then they spent a fortune uploading all of the content. Then they spent a fortune maintaining it, spent a fortune on people having to upload these raw videos 6 weeks out and all this kind of stuff. And that's why they gave it to Peacock, because one of the things that they found is they found like they have all of this content, everything they've ever had, their entire library was there. And they found that like people weren't watching the old stuff. Really, people who watch the old stuff are crazy people like me, and then people who are training to be wrestlers, and then people who feel nostalgic every now and again, then they watch it. But no one was watching on a consistent basis. So they gave it all to Peacock, and they said, all right, you guys are already set up, you're making money from elsewhere because of your other programs, and there you go. And that's what kind of,
These are my tissue box covers.
Remember, tissues come in their own boxes.
What is?
It's important.
What are you?
To let go of the things.
What
G,
is?
is that you?
That's G. I know what that is. That's fine. I say just mute it.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, you're good. But anyway, I think realistically what ends up happening, so we've got the PLEs on Peacock. I don't think that's going anywhere. I know WWE, they sign years of deals. We've been doing PLE content for I think 3 years now on Peacock. I think it's at least a 5-year deal. Peacock will probably opt to resign. As far as Netflix is concerned, Netflix has a 5-year deal. And if Netflix decides to re-sign, they already have a contract on the table for 20 more years. And that money obviously changes, but apparently in the outlines of that contract says that if after 5 years you're satisfied, we will promise to stay with you as long as we can come to an agreement on these other things for 20 years. So it's probably going to be Netflix for a long time. It will be old before it gets out of Netflix.
It's a 5-year deal right now.
5-year deal right now. It's like a trial period. They do everything big. And then SmackDown. I think SmackDown will eventually come to Netflix too. I don't see Netflix going to any of the other lesser places. I mean, it might go to Hulu. Hulu is just as big as Netflix, but I think that they'll probably want to keep it all in one place. So.
I think if they tried to put everything in one place, I think Netflix would be, or not Netflix, pardon me, Hulu might be their route, because Hulu's got the infrastructure kind of like Peacock.
Yeah.
But it's also got that stream capability. And I know we're live, but I want to try something real quick.
Oh God.
Hold on. Can we see if this works? Did that pop up?
It did.
Can we just
What are we watching?
Can you click on?
I'll click on it.
Seth Rollins shoes for tonight.
Yeah, I saw. You know what? I saw those. I was like, why does he got bow ties on? All right, quit sharing your screen. We don't want to see your points. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Seth Rollins Seth Rollins shoes. What the heck,
dude? He's always the man with big shoes, man. He always brings it. Was that he tweeted that out?
His wife's shoes.
Yeah, that's his wife's shoes.
He tweeted it out. Says my dancing shoes on. Gonna have fun tonight.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. So yeah, more to come on the Netflix deal. Like I said, we'll probably do a whole entire podcast about it. I think we can talk for 30 minutes about that. We've already talked for 20 minutes. We haven't even gotten through the show yet. So I think that I think we'll be good to go on that. So we'll bring that up at a different time. Moving on to our first actual current roster wrestler who came out, the EST of WWE, Miss Bianca Belair. She is actually my pick to go against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I 100% think she's going. She deserves to go. She is just the best. She's the best.
She is fantastic.
So I wrote down, I think she's going to fight Rhea at WrestleMania via the Elimination Chamber. I said that, and then obviously they announced later on that she has a match on SmackDown to get in the Elimination Chamber. She's obviously going to win it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see that going any other way.
Yeah. So, yeah, she'll definitely qualify. Will she win? I think so, but, we'll go over that a little bit later, too. So she spoke about her husband, Montez Ford, a little bit, plugged their new show. I think that...
Now, I'm going to say this is my being new to the WWE again. Like, I've seen the trailers for the show because most of what I watch is between YouTube and Peacock and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Is he legitimate? Like, I can't remember seeing him since I've come back to the WWE more than maybe once or twice. But the name is not one of those that I go, oh, got it, instantly.
Think Street Profits.
Yeah.
If you remember them or
okay,
them.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Montez Ford. That's him, and I can never think of his name. But yeah, he's in the Street Profits, and they were running along with Bobby Lashley for a little bit. I think they're still going.
They're still working that. They're still working that program with Karrion Kross.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, but they're on SmackDown. Gotcha. So I say keep your eyes peeled on SmackDown. That's where you're going to see them. And they're fantastic, man. Montez Ford has probably the best frog. I mean, some people are going to hate me for saying this. He probably has the best frog splash in the game, or best, off the top rope splash, or whatever you want to call it.
As right now he does, because his athleticism is out this world. This man can get so high up just off the top rope. It is like, wow, that's terrifying for me, because I wouldn't want to do that, but he can do it.
Yeah,
he has a skill for it.
Yeah, I never seen anybody jump as high as he does. I mean, like, shout out to Eddie Guerrero, the Usos, anyone who does. I mean, even Dominic Mysterio, anybody who does those splashes. But that man's got spring in his legs. I just, good God. Some things that kind of leaned me more towards her winning or going to WrestleMania. Maybe not winning, but going to WrestleMania to go against Rhea Ripley. She said that she's going to go in without a title. Like, she straight up said, she's like, I'm going to WrestleMania without a title this year. She's like, it's one of the first times I'm doing that. I was like, all right, cool. So, kind of subconscious, you're already letting us know you're probably going to win the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I have big hopes for Bianca. I think she's coming out of WrestleMania the champion personally, and I just want to see another Bianca whip, man. I just want to see her whip another superstar. Like, good God, that's just nasty.
Ooh, that whip in the back, oh my God, they need to do something about that. They need to ban that move.
He's get fined.
That is painful. Should be a fine.
So
now I'll play devil's advocate. What about Becky Lynch, the man? She was out there with Rhea tonight. That was the whole face off. Well, you think that's just a wrench to throw people off to the EST taking out Rhea Ripley?
So okay, so I think it's going to be Bianca. Now, here's the thing, in my opinion. I think that is just goes in, like, it's just storytelling, right? Like, I think that it's going to come down to Becky and Bianca, and I think from there it's going to be a toss-up. Really, we'll know in the next couple Mondays. I mean, I feel like we'll be able to figure it out as time progresses who's going. I think a lot of people are going to say Becky. I really want Bianca back in there. It would be nice if it was a triple threat. I would love that. I mean, the thing is right now you have so many people. So many great superstars, such a stacked roster. Like, let me throw this at you. What if Becky does win, and then you've got Jade Cargill, right, and Bianca going against the current women's tag team champions in Damage Control?
Ooh.
Because then we got new tag team champs.
Yeah, no doubt. Because that that tag team duel will be unstoppable. Like just muscle upon muscle with that. That makes me think. It's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you put it up. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, since we've already brought her up, Nate, what do you think of Jade Cargill? You have any thoughts on her? I know you saw her in the Rumble. I know you haven't seen much else from her. As a matter of fact, none of us, unless you were watching AEW, you really haven't seen anything from her in WWE.
I haven't seen much other than what we saw at the Rumble. And what we saw at the Rumble, if she's staying in the WWE, she is a force. Like, you have the Nia Jaxes, you've got the bruisers, as I put it earlier.
Yeah.
And the bruisers are there simply because they're big. But she's stout, and she's got technical ability, speed. She's actually a force. She's not just there because she's another pretty face. She's got actual talent to it. So I'd like to see her on the roster, and I'd like to see them go somewhere with it.
Absolutely. G, you brought up Rhea. She was the next person to come out. Definitely. She talks about kind of the opposite, right? She talks about going into the champ, or going in as the champ to WrestleMania, and she says, "Well, I'm definitely coming out the champ. I'll tell you that right now." So she talks about a mini WrestleMania in Perth. And honestly, it will be a mini WrestleMania for her in Perth. I mean, Perth is, at the very least, her home country, going back to Australia. So that's, honestly, really good for her. Going against Nia, which Nia is the beast that every current champion has to fight. It's kind of like a rite of passage almost, right? Like, ever since Nia got in there, she's like the Paul White. She's like, the Undertaker, the whoever, you have to beat the Undertaker fighting all the giants that he fought. You know what I mean? Right. So I think definitely, obviously she's going to come out as the champion. Obviously, she was interrupted by Becky. So obviously she was interrupted by Becky. And Becky says something that no one's ever actually used against Rhea. And everybody knows Rhea's saying, "Mommy is always on top." And, how did it go? She said she's going to put Rhea on the bottom because that's what or she's going to make Rhea...
Mommy's going to learn what it's like to be a bottom.
Because that's what happens when the man comes in. Like,
That is...
I will say, being a wrestling fan for 30 years, I don't get goosebumps a lot anymore, but when people can turn a phrase like that or something like that, man, that gets me. I'm like, all right, cool, this is gonna be good. This is and obviously, whatever.
It chills down your spine.
Yeah, I was like whatever. It's all scripted. It's all a work. But you know what? We're wrestling fans, and when the older you get, the more impressed you get when you're able to be worked. I'm really happy when they're able to work. When I'm able to get worked.
Yeah.
Hey T,
what's up, man?
Discord.
I understand. I know you were laughing at something.
Check the Discord.
I can't check my Discord because we're streaming in it. You have to send it to me somewhere else.
All right, G, check your Discord.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
Well, it's in the call that we're in.
Oh.
Yeah, no. That is for another time period. We have questions, and we'll get to those during another time period.
Oh God.
That's for the show. We already have it planned out. We want to get all the facts straight, and
oh God. Okay.
Because it's serious business, so we'll get to that. Don't worry.
Heard that. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So I've done my talking, so I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think happens at Elimination Chamber? Before we talk about who else could be in it, because we're going to talk about that. If it were just Becky and Bianca, right? Like, how do you think things are going to happen in Perth? What do you think is going to happen with Rhea and Nia? Like, let me hear from y'all. Do some predictions here. What do you think? How do you think it's going to go? How did the talk make you feel?
I see Rhea beating Nia just off rip. Like Nia is like everybody has to go through her. Blah blah blah. Rhea's going to WrestleMania. Let's just cut that out quick, straight to the point. Now, as far as Becky and the EST, I don't know. I say the EST comes out, but Becky's just there, and maybe they're the final two. I'm seeing Bianca versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and I see Rhea Ripley continuing her reign.
All right.
I mean, going with Nia and Rhea, if you watched Raw, you boys, I sent you the stuff. Rhea getting hit with the entire clam buffet. I don't know how she's gonna beat Nia because Nia's it's 2 weeks in a row. Nia has just run through her ass. But
That's true.
I agree. I storyline wise, I agree. She will
pull it out.
She will retain it. Yeah.
Okay.
As for, I mean, right now we don't have too many of the matches at the Elimination Chamber set. Yes, CRGT. Yes.
Real quick, I just want to do a quick shout out. Techie C and Squirrels 34. Thank you for being here. Just want to give you all a shout out. Thank you for chatting as well.
Hey, what's up, fellas? What's up, guys? Thank you for coming.
Sorry, Dresh, go ahead.
No, we really don't have much to go on for Elimination Chamber yet. I don't know if it seems to be a trend with the WWE lately where you've got your big match, such as, let's go back to the Rumble, and again with Elimination Chamber, where you've got the men's chamber, you've got the women's chamber, and then you've got like 2 other matches.
Yeah.
And that just seems like almost a waste of a pay-per-view. You'd be better off just doing another friggin' Raw for that. I get it; they're trying to make their money.
Yeah.
But there's no undercard fights really at all. You're not giving me anything to really wow me with. Even at WrestleMania or at the Rumble, we had what was it? They did the men's tag titles. And the match was there's no way they were going to lose those titles. Same thing with the match with Roman. I mean, it was physical as hell. They beat the living dog crap out of each other. But there really was not a time in that match where I went, yeah, Roman's going to drop this. Give me something that's worth me putting my time into. And give it to me more than 2 days before the event. Yeah. I really don't see Becky win in the chamber. I do not. I see the man being cannon fodder halfway through the match. I really do.
Okay. Would also be interesting to see the man in Jade Cargill in a tag team. I don't see Jade Cargill being left out. I don't. And I don't see the man being left out. So if they don't win, they will do something. Even if it's like a women's Andre the Giant Battle Royal like they do for the men, which eventually, actually, guys, next week we're probably going to do WrestleMania fantasy booking, seeing what we can come up with for matches for WrestleMania. We'll probably do that. Maybe we might save. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We might save it for after Elimination Chamber when we're closer. We've seen a couple more Raws.
Yeah.
Squirrel says Becky wins the Chamber. Hey. It could be. I mean, the thing is like she's. I mean, as far as the women's division, she's hot. And I do agree, Nia is just a stepping stone. Nia is literally just that's it. I mean, she will have her time.
She's a fish sandwich right now. She's a fish sandwich that everybody has to eat.
Nia.
Say it like that. She's a fish sandwich that everybody has to eat. So that's my opinion, and I'm done.
Becky's elimination was a mess up on that spot. I mean, could be. Yeah, honestly, could be. So, but elimination dream booking, and I'm very I'm actually interested and hearing what some of the viewers have to say. So if anybody wants to participate in this, please do. So Elimination Chamber dream booking for the women. We're just gonna do the women right now. So obviously Bianca's gonna go in. Sorry to Mia Yim. Bianca's gonna go over me. I think it was Mia Yim, right? Or was it?
Yeah.
It was Mia Yim. Yeah, Bianca's going over Mia Yim on Friday. So I think what we talked about, guys, is we said Bianca, we said Becky, right? Obviously, because she's already in it. Yep. Jade Cargill, she's got to be in it, right?
Yep.
Got to be in it.
Yep. She's got to be in it.
Liv was also one of ours that Squirrels noted. Liv was one of them that we talked about.
Yep, Squirrel said Liv. Yeah, we noted Liv. Liv is back. She's got to be given something. Now, what's interesting, right, is Dresh, you were saying that there has to be a heavy hitter. There has to be, like, the big person that's hard to fight, right? And Nia is out. So
because she's already got a match.
Right. So who are we saying, you know, who what are our options for the big contenders?
I mean, is it possible they're going to use Jade as that heavy hitter?
Yeah. That was one of the ones I was thinking.
She's rough. I mean, she's not your, you know, Mark Henry style. She's not your Nia Jax style.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back and watch the Elimination Chambers, which I've been doing, there's almost every year, there's one of the ones that, you know, your gladiators that you're not just going to walk up and, you know, thump in the face once and you win.
Yeah.
They're always there.
Right. And another one I was thinking also, Piper Nivens.
Yep.
She could be in there. Because that's a lot of lady that she's not you know, she ain't easy to toss out.
Yeah.
That's evident Rumble. From the Rumble. I mean, she worked her ass off in the Rumble. I believe she had 5 eliminations in the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So
the beast.
She was rocking it.
Yeah,
she knocked out more than Nia Jax did this year.
Yeah, she's crazy good. And can we just all admit that WWE did her dirty when they forced her to be named Dewdrop? Like I did, like I think all the wrestling fans know,
let's acknowledge that because
they did her dirty, man.
That was rude.
So
that was rude. Dewdrop, man. I still call it that. That's the bad part.
I mean, I called her that forever because, like, you know, obviously, so, like, I'm more, anyone who doesn't know, I'm more particular to WWE. Like, I love AEW, and I love that Sting is in AEW, which that's going to be a whole other, like, Sting, AEW, that'll probably be a whole other podcast at some point. But, like, I'm more particular to WWE. That's just me. And I just, I didn't know that her name was Piper Niven outside of, you know, when she was doing more independent stuff and, like, you know, wrestling other places. And so when they came and named her Dewdrop, I was like, man, that seems rude. But I was like, all right, cool. And then when they called her Piper Niven, I was like, where did this come from? And that's a name that she wrestled under. Like, they actually let her have that name. So that's good.
I don't know.
So another name that we threw. You know what? You said Jordan from, I think you meant TNA, right? The TNA champion. Is that who that is?
No. What I said earlier was Zoe Stark.
No. I'm talking about
Squirrels.
Talking about Squirrels.
Oh, you're talking about Squirrel.
Yeah, but you did say Zoe Stark, and Zoe Stark is actually a good one. And the second you said that, I was like, yeah, she's going to be in it. But I do believe, like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, what if this partnership that TNA has with WWE, like, this is one we didn't talk about, but what if they actually brought that in more and had her come in? Because let me tell you, as far as explosiveness, like, when you talk about explosiveness, I'm going to say the taboo name that we're not supposed to say right now, but as far as explosiveness, like, Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar comes in and just tears people apart. You never really saw that in the Women's Rumble, even with all the Nia Jaxes and all the Shayna Baszlers and all of the Rhea Ripleys and all of that stuff. Not Rhea Ripley's, I'm sorry. What's her name? Oh man, I can't remember her name right now. How can I not remember her name? It's crazy. The UFC, other UFC girl.
Oh, Ronda.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey. All the Ronda Rouseys and even Rhea Ripley, all dominant, but the way that Jordan Grace, that's her name, the way that Jordan came in and just explosively destroyed everyone. Like, I'm telling you, it's, for me, that was like the closest I've seen to like an actual Brock Lesnar tearing through people. They couldn't give her like incredible, insane spots because she is from a rival company or whatever. But like the way she conducted herself in the Rumble, I think was amazing.
Yeah, no. Jordan Grace is phenomenal. I've watched her in TNA, just seeing how she's grown and just become a powerhouse. My God. Yeah, if they're doing that partnership, that's exactly who they need to bring into that chamber, because that is one powerhouse that.
I was gonna say that's something we didn't talk about earlier. Was during the Rumble we had those partnerships from the other companies, mostly seen in the women's division, but we had the two Canadians that were in there as well. That actually, again, they did pretty well. They stayed in the Rumble in there for quite a while. They showed off some skill. They had good mat work.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be nice to see if we've got these partnerships that they're using in the Rumble. Why not pull them into some of the other pay-per-views and maybe even to some of the, main card events?
Yeah,
Build
absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly.
Remember the old days when we
so we talked about Zoe Starks. I just thought of another one that I can't believe we didn't think of. I just had her name and now I lost it. Why am I losing names? She just came back in the Rumble. The glow princess. Mary
Naomi?
Yes, Naomi. Thank you, Squirrel. Squirrels needs to take my spot in the podcast.
I don't think just because of how active Naomi is in some of the other areas, I don't think we should see. I don't think it's a wanted storyline to bring her back over. Like, it was nice to see her again, but I don't think she's fan favorite enough to bring her back on a longer run.
I will say the pop was. I will say the pop for her was not what I thought it was going to be. I think that they brought her out at the wrong time in the Rumble. I think that having her out number 2 was not a good idea. But when she came out, the fans actually seemed confused. Like they didn't know the music. And I was like, I knew who it was immediately. I was like, of course, like, I'm a May. Like, everybody knows that, like, I thought at least. But the pop for her wasn't all right. Wasn't what I thought.
Let me stop you real quick.
Okay.
There's a post up. We were just talking about our teams, right? I'm scrolling through X.
Okay.
This Monday night, for their spot in the Elimination Chamber, Liv and Zoe Stark.
No way!
Only one of the two will be
No way!
Man.
Well, I mean, all right, I'm going to say it right now. I think Liv is going over.
You think so?
I mean, that's my opinion.
It's good. It was good to see her in the Rumble, but I don't know, man.
They've been spotting her quite a bit. I mean, during Raw last week, she was sitting and watching, like they put the camera on her watching that match back in the back. So they're obviously getting ready to try and start a storyline.
Give her a little push, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, you think Zoe their G?
I'm still gonna say Zoe. Like, they need to give her another. I feel like they need to give her another push after, having her split with Trish and stuff. I feel like she's just been kind of stagnant. So this would be the opportunity for her to kind of get pushed a little bit forward. Not necessarily championship, match push, but just a push. Doing something with her, because she's been working her ass off.
Gotcha. And yeah, I know that person is a spam bot. I honestly, from where I'm at right now, I'm not exactly sure how to actually.
Yeah, we got to set up the. if we set it up so we're all moderators, I can get rid of them.
Yeah, I'll set.
That's
I'll
not something to mess with mid run.
Yeah, I'll set that up. Those won't be popping up frequently in the future. We're just So, but
All right, so just throwing out while we're talking.
Okay.
Looking through WWE stuff. Also, this Monday night, we got another Judgment Day battle with JD McDonough versus R-Truth.
They're gonna kill that. They're just beating that storyline to death. I love seeing R-Truth though. I do love that he's in the Judgment Day. I say it's gonna be good. I don't know when the R-Truth thing's gonna end though.
And then you've got Gunther and his boys versus Jey Uso and the New Day, also that night. So it's a 3-man tag battle.
True. Yeah, that should be good too.
But none of that's for spots in the Rumble. Those are just ones that I noticed while I'm looking through.
Gotcha. Okay. So going back to Elimination Chamber stuff, we said Valhalla could be another monster, even though her push isn't. She's been winning matches, but they might not decide to push her for it. Other names that we mentioned could be Xia Li, Zelina Vega. I think would be a good spot. I mean, honestly, Raquel Rodriguez. I think she's on injury, but if she's not on injury, I can see her being in there as a hard hitter. Indy. I know I should know this. When you say Indy, what's the other? What's their? I guess their last name. Indy Hartwell. Yes, Indy Hart. I knew it was there.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I can see it. I can definitely see Indy Hartwell being in it.
Now, question.
Yeah.
How long has Charlotte been out?
She's That's a good point. They should put an NXT person in there. But Charlotte's been out. I think Charlotte's going to continue to be out.
Okay.
I think I'm almost positive she's out on injury, but I mean, I could be wrong about that. But man, it's like a blessing and a curse to have so many good people.
Charlotte Flair is currently out for a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
Yeah, she jacked her leg up pretty bad.
She is shot in the foot.
All right, so we're coming up on an hour, so I don't want to keep it too long. So let's get to the meat, what everybody's been wanting to get to, right? So Seth Rollins. Oh, yeah, I did want to mention this. Real quick. They did say speed matches are going to be on X. So what these speed matches are going to be little 5-minute matches on X. So that's just another social media that they're trying to push quick matches on. I guess I'm assuming they're going to have a 5-minute time limit. I'm assuming it's going to be with NXT people. It could be with underutilized main roster superstars. It's interesting. So, I don't know, maybe it'll work.
Something new. Yeah. It gives a spotlight to people who aren't on TV all the time,
Right.
That's what I'm hoping, at least.
Right, and I think that they're doing the right thing by doing social media instead of doing like when they used to do superstars and stuff like that. I think using social media is a better idea.
Yeah.
So Seth Rollins comes out. He's still playing the
in his wife's shoes.
In his wife's shoes. You know what? No, I'm going to be honest. I love what he wears. I love all the stuff that he wears.
His outfits are insane.
Yeah,
they're cool though.
Yeah, man. I mean, like if I wouldn't wear some of the stuff that he wears. I would wear some of the stuff, but I wouldn't wear some of the stuff. If you know what I mean. But anyway, he comes out. And he says he's got a pretty big pop. So obviously they're slowly building. They're slowly building this Roman and Seth thing. Obviously they fought before and they've had rivalries before, but they're still building this like my title is better than your title. I looked ahead for all the pay-per-views that they have set up. They do not have Clash of Champions. They do not have Clash of Champions set up as of yet. Clash of Champions, I would assume, will be in September, maybe October. They do have pay-per-views lined up all the way to SummerSlam, all the way to August. So, but nothing after that so far. So I'm assuming that they're going to build to Roman versus Seth. Spoiler alert, I think that Seth and Roman are probably going to hold their titles for a while. But either way, that's my opinion. We can do stuff on that later as well. Then, obviously, Roman eventually comes out. The unwritten rule of wrestling, if you say someone's name, they've got to come out. That's just how it goes. So Roman comes out, he does his acknowledge me. Like, he tells everybody to acknowledge him. To be quite frank, people were acknowledging him before he came out, so it doesn't matter. They pushed that little rivalry some more. Seth was like, "Oh, you finally showed up to work, man. Awesome." And
that was fantastic. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, he says you wore your wife's shoes, like all good stuff. Then Roman says Cody didn't choose somebody. So you know what that means? That means I get to choose somebody. That means that I get to choose my opponent for WrestleMania. Obviously the whole time Seth is like, dude, it doesn't work like that. What do you mean you get to choose as your opponent for WrestleMania? It doesn't work like that. And so, Roman's like, yeah, no, it works like that. Get this guy out of here. And says, I'm choosing The Rock. Right? Rock comes out. And really, really played into looking stunned about the fans' reaction and stuff like that. I've heard a lot of different things about what The Rock's been doing lately, like since the announcement came out for his match. Like, apparently he's been pushing the Cody fans a little bit. Like, apparently at that next Raw and at Vengeance Day, apparently he was at both, which makes sense since he's on the board now. But he was like kind of out there egging the fans on and stuff like that, and staff was egging the fans on and everything like that. So yeah, man, The Rock seemed a little stunned. I guess it's easy. I guess you can probably easily say that he's very happy to be back.
Very happy. Man, my question is, what are they going to do now? So what's the plan now?
Well, so obviously, The Rock comes out. He suckers them all in. That's what I loved. So for about a good 5 minutes, he's sitting here and he's like, egging them on. He's like, oh, is The Rock versus Roman going to be the best match of the, in WrestleMania history? Is The Rock going to, whoop Roman's candy ass? Is, all this stuff. And the fans are booing him and booing him and booing him. And then he makes his point about the fans being so fickle. Because what does he do? He does his millions, and of course the fans. Every single fan immediately responds with, and millions.
I mean, as much as I don't like The Rock's return, like I said, I don't see it. There's a reason they called him the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. The man can polarize an audience.
Yes, he can.
It's true. That's true. So, again, proves his point that the fans can be a little bit fickle. And at this point, when he does that, right? And then he shows the bloodline photo, which the bloodline photo, I've seen different variations of it online. It's fantastic. Like, the Samoan dynasty in wrestling is incredible. There are a lot of big names on there. But then he says, is this not absolute proof that there's only one dominant family in professional wrestling? And so at that point, you guys heard it. I was like, triple threat. It's a triple threat. It's a triple threat. It's done deal. Rock's already in the match. Cody's going to come out, and it's a triple threat. And obviously Cody comes out. He does his thing, and he says, Roman, I choose you. Literally says everything that The Rock is saying is BS. And so now then they start going back and forth, and Roman says he's embarrassing himself, says you're irrelevant, your dad's irrelevant. And then Cody comes back and he says, if your grandfather was here, if the High Chief was here, he would be ashamed of both of you. And then for me as a wrestling fan, this is when the goosebumps kind of start, because I'm like, The Rock comes up. He says, when you talk about his family, you're talking about my family. When you talk about, his blood, you're talking his ancestors. You're talking about my ancestors. When you talk about his blood, you're talking about my blood. And he says, now we've got a problem. And he slaps the absolute shit out of Cody Rhodes.
He slaps the shit out of him. He slaps the shit out of him. Oh my God, it was fucking chef's kiss. That slap was just, nothing too crazy, just to let him know his place,
Yep. So the question is, because obviously Triple H comes out, and the GMs from Raw come out, and they
say before he even hits him, something. They're thinking something's going to happen, because everybody that's got something to their mass is out on that stage.
Right. Right. Man, I tell you what, that is some good stuff, because as soon as he slapped Cody, Seth jumps in. Seth's like, just because you're what is it? He says, just because you're just because you're on the board now doesn't mean you can do whatever I want, whatever you want. Rock's like, that is what it means. Like, the Rock's sitting here trolling the hell out of him. I'm like, okay. And then, like, obviously there's a bunch of questions there and stuff. But then you've got this. The backstage segment. Now, you guys saw the backstage segment. Please, I've done a lot of talking, so I just want to hear, please explain the backstage segment, and then tell me your thoughts on the backstage segment, and then let's talk about where we go from here.
So when Triple H was doing his interview, you see Rock and Roman coming up in the distance. Rock comes up to Trips and is like, you need to fix this. You need to fix this. And what does he say, Dresh? What does he say?
Well, his exact words were, hold on, let me find it, because there is already a post up about it. His exact words were, where'd it go? Okay, I can't find his exact words, but he basically says, he's talking about my family, get this shit fixed, or I'll knock his fucking teeth out of his mouth.
Yeah.
He's gonna knock his teeth out of his mouth. You said fix it, or I'm gonna knock his teeth out of his mouth. My thought behind that is, I think it's gonna be, I think they're gonna have a match at Elimination Chamber, Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. Gonna have that match, and then we'll go from there.
Yep.
I think that determines who goes to WrestleMania. Even though it's already predetermined, I think that will actually show who goes to WrestleMania.
I could see that to a point, but I mean, Cody's guaranteed to go to WrestleMania unless Rocky pulls some sort of crap from him being on the board and tries to get the rule changed. But his win of the Rumble guarantees his spot.
Right. That's why I was saying, maybe the Elimination Chamber, something different might happen. What if Seth turns on Cody?
I don't see that.
CM Punk recommends punching someone else in the mouth?
Yeah. So we'll get to that too, man. CM Punk was on one. But, so this is what I see. Right now, Seth Rollins does not have an opponent. It will not be The Rock. I do not think it's going to be The Rock. I don't think The Rock is going to wrestle at WrestleMania.
No.
I think that was a swerve. And if it was serious, I think that they listened to the fans. But I do think it was all a work. But if it wasn't a work, they listened to the fans. Either way, I think the majority of wrestling fans are getting what they wanted. I wanted to see The Rock versus Roman, but neither here nor there. I like both options, to be honest. So I think what's going to happen is this. I think there's going to be a men's elimination chamber match. I think that regardless of what happens in that match, I think that Drew is going to wiggle his way into WrestleMania this way. I think that what's going to happen is it's going to be The Rock and Roman versus Seth Rollins and Cody at Perth, Australia at Elimination Chamber. I think that The Rock and Roman go over because of Drew McIntyre. Because we talk about finishing stories and stuff. Drew McIntyre it's almost like he's fighting. Like his story right now is he's just fighting to stay relevant when he can't be relevant because he keeps getting beat by Seth. But he keeps trying to find ways to piss people off to give him matches, right? He pissed off Sami Zayn. Then he injured Sami Zayn. Now he's in a thing with Sami Zayn. Like, this kind of stuff is going to keep going. If we're talking about men's Royal Rumble, I think that, or not Royal Rumble, men's Elimination Chamber, I do think it's going to be Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton. I think those three are a shoo-in. I think all three of them are definitely going to be in there. The other three we can talk about later, but those three, I think those three are definitely going to be in there. Because I do think that Orton is probably going to win and go to WrestleMania to go against Seth. I don't know, that's far out fantasy booking. I could be completely off the mark there, but if I were going to book it, I'd probably do something like that. I think it'd be a good match. Drew versus Orton versus Seth. I mean, we need a triple threat, right? I mean, now we haven't had one in a little bit, I think. I could be wrong about that. But
I mean, they just had a fatal four-way with Roman versus AJ versus Randy versus LA Knight. You really would need another, like, fatal match like that?
Well, I meant, like, they haven't had one in WrestleMania. They haven't had a triple threat in WrestleMania for a while as far as for the championship, to my recollection. Like I said, I could be dead wrong with that. But see, that's exactly what Squirrels is saying. It's a good, like, when you're booking these matches, like, Randy needs to be the 15-time champion. He's, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of fans want to see that. Randy Orton is fantastic, and I do believe that he has at least one more run in him. One more championship run in him. I think he can do it. So yeah, that's kind of how I would book it. Now, if you were going to book this, and let's just talk about, I want to hear from both of you guys, like where do you think this, I guess, goes for Seth, and where does it go for the whole group of four? Like, so I think, G, you were saying definitely the tag match. Dresh, I don't know if if you want to echo that, but like, where do you think that it goes beyond Mania? Like, who do you think ends up coming after Seth now that Cody's out of the picture?
Well,
Go ahead. All right. So it's 100%. It's the next two to come after them. It's going to be Punk once he's back and available.
Yep.
And Drew. That's the next two. Drew. I mean, Drew prayed for this. So
he did.
I mean, that's what it all comes down to, is Drew prayed for this. So
what a savage
obviously,
promo.
His story is going to be there.
Yeah.
That's what I got on that one.
All right. Now this is what I said before we go any further. Who does Damian cash in on?
You're right. I forgot again about Damian Priest.
Who does Damian cash in on? It's still there. They're not mentioning that. So who does he cash in on? That's my thing. That's why I said we need to see Elimination Chamber before we talk about who goes where, because I need to see who Damian Priest is going to cash in on. Because he has to do it unless they changed up and like, we're just going to roll with it until whenever. But no, he needs to cash in on somebody.
Mania is the deadline, right?
Elimination Chamber. Mania is the deadline.
Yeah, it has to be used by Mania.
Oh my!
Oh my
gosh!
He's got to. Neither one of the titles. If they do, if they do a tag match, why is it backwards?
You gotta flip it. Yeah, so you're gonna have to, yeah.
If here, I'll do this. If they do a tag match at Elimination Chamber, neither title's available for Priest to take. So it's gonna have to be at WrestleMania. And right now, the only title that's gonna be there is Roman's, because we don't have a match set up for Seth. So unless we pull a Drew McIntyre Seth out of Elimination Chamber, we're not gonna have. It's gonna have to be on Roman and Cody.
So, do me a favor real quick, Dresh, because Squirrels is also saying by the next Money in the Bank he has to cash in. Now, there is no Money in the Bank currently scheduled for this year, so can you look up real quick when he won that Money in the Bank briefcase? Because it is exactly 1 year. It's supposed to be 1 year. So, I thought that they were doing it at, 1 year from the contract. Now, I thought they were doing those matches at WrestleMania, so that's why I was thinking that it was WrestleMania. If that's the case, then
Money in the Bank 2023. Date was, hold on, July 1st, 2023.
Okay, so he has until July 1st. Okay, so he'll probably cash in right before. Okay, good call on that. So it might not be a WrestleMania thing. I think it would be wise to do it at WrestleMania because that's another easy in. Like, for example,
Easy.
Well, let's say Elimination Chamber. Let's say not Drew McIntyre. Let's say that Damian Priest is in the Elimination Chamber and he loses. Well, then Drew McIntyre wins it, right? Drew McIntyre goes to Mania, and Priest says, "I don't have a match. I want a match. I'm cashing in at Mania." And now all of a sudden it's a triple threat because winning the Elimination Chamber gets you into Mania. The briefcase guarantees you a match, and like those kinds of things are things that kind of get you a shoe in for the main event or one of the main events of WrestleMania. So, yeah, I that's definitely a possibility, 100%. So all right, that was pulls a Seth on Seth with his cash in. I can see that too. I was actually kind of thinking that as well. Is that like Seth wins barely by the skin of his teeth, and then Damian runs down and wins. We've seen that happen. That actually happened at WrestleMania, to what Squirrels is saying, so that makes sense. So yeah. But yeah, that was the show.
Tease the Damian Priest at Elimination Chamber. They're gonna tease it because you got the two champions in the tag match.
No, that's true.
They're gonna tease that.
That's true. And what we'll probably do is when we have the set card, we'll probably do an Elimination Chamber. We have the full set card. We'll do an Elimination Chamber podcast as well that Thursday before. Which, by the way, to everybody,
should be next week, isn't it?
Is it next Saturday?
Next Thursday? I think it's next Saturday.
It should.
We'll look at that. If it is next Thursday, or if it is next Saturday, that's what our next Thursday podcast will be about. Which, by the way,
next Saturday's the 17th. Yeah, I think it is next Saturday.
Gotcha. So, which, by the way, y'all, every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. is when we're going to be doing the podcast. So, thank you to everyone who has shown up here today for the first one. We're going to be.
No, it's not. No. It's the 24th. 24th. So it's not next week. It's the week after.
Okay, but yeah, we're gonna be doing this every Thursday, 8:30 sharp. We're gonna stay consistent with it. We're gonna be doing a range of different topics. We'll be talking about news that's happening in the wrestling world. We're gonna do a podcast where we talk about the Vince McMahon documents. This is what it is right here. I'm studying it. We're gonna go through it. Because of maturity stuff, there's going to be some stuff I can't say. I'm trying to figure out how to get a bleep button in here, but we're going to go through it. And everyone involved in all of the news. So why did you throw a duck? So outside of that, the outro was literally all four of them were Techie C, hit me up and we can talk about it. That'd be awesome. But all of the outro, really, like all of them were talking for the outro. Pat McAfee and Big E and CM Punk and what's his name, Michael Cole. They were all talking, right? But CM Punk was just trying to incite violence. Like that MFer was just going for it, man.
He was going for it. He was egging it. He was egging that on, brother. Like him saying, if it was me, I would have hit him back. Like, and you see Rocky looking down at CM Punk, right? Everybody had to see that, right?
Oh,
so That's why I said a possible future match between Rocky and CM Punk.
Oh man, yeah. When Roman and Rock looked at him when he was talking that crap, like CM Punk must not have like at least in the world of it being a work or whatever. Like CM Punk must have not known that mic was hot or something. Like as far as they could hear him, because like the Rock and Roman were like, motherfucker.
Like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking? Don't make me come up there. That's how The Rock was looking.
Well, when Roman gave his title to the Wise Man, I thought he was walking over, and I was like, no, we're not about to see a CM Punk Roman thing, because I was like, it's too early for that kind of crap, man.
It's too early, yeah.
So, but yeah. Again, like that was pretty much that was I mean that was the pre-show kickoff or whatever for WrestleMania. I am excited for WrestleMania. I'm excited for this podcast, and we're gonna cover every bit of wrestling news, and we're gonna keep doing it every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Be here. Well, ASMR. We got Dreshin with the Elimination Chamber. All right, his Twitch is going to be /Dreshin. We have Hanji Manji. His is twitch.tv /Hanji Manji. And of course, it's me, your boy, Big Tasty _616. And thank you guys so much for being a part of the first stream. And we will see you next Thursday.
We out.